and welcome to the Idaho Renaissance Faire Inc.'s YouTube page. I am Tyson, and I am so excited to be right here, right now. I am meeting with Gabe. He is the Director of Operations.
Correct.
Okay, so I gotta tell you, we've been Idaho Renaissance Faire 8 years. We've gone CUNA, we've gone Boise, we're now in Caldwell, and Acute has been with us for most of that journey. I think it was about 6 years ago when we originally got our start, and that was our very first big So glad we have these guys, because one of the armored combat people had gotten injured and needed some doctoring, and it wasn't one of those little, I get a Band-Aid and life is good. It was one of those, I need a medical professional. And Acute Rescue for us has been there the entire way. There was 1 year we did look at another company, and that other company completely dropped the ball on us. It was the week of, they pulled out, and we had nobody, and we reached back out to Acute Rescue, and they were so kind. They did not have to, but they stepped up, they helped us out, and our relationship has just gone from there. A total, like I said, of about 6 years. So, Gabe, tell us a little bit about how Acute Rescue actually got a start. Because before Ren Fair, obviously, there has to be a start for any amazing company. So where did Acute Rescue start?
So Acute Rescue started in 2011. Wes Anderson is the owner, CEO of Acute Rescue. And he wanted to change the way medicine is done in the state of Idaho. He purchased a couple of used ambulances and started this in the garage of his house. And that was in February of 2011. In June of 2011, I was the very first employee at Acute Rescue, so I do have a little bit of pride in the company and what we're doing here. And I showed up at his house, knocked on his door. It was kind of one of those "what am I doing here" moments, but it's grown to be a very good thing, and we love our relationships with vendors like Renaissance Faire, and there's others out there that we do business with, but we love building those relationships and friendships with the people that are involved in it. And like I said, he wanted to change the way medicine was done in the state of Idaho, and focusing on a customer service aspect of that. And a lot of people, when they think of an ambulance and the customer, they think of the patients the people that we transport in those ambulances. Those people aren't just patients. They're somebody's loved one, they're somebody's family member, but it's also the people that we are contracted with, like Renaissance Faire, and the relationships we build there. They're the hospitals that we deal with, and the family members of those people that we transport, and our coworkers and whatnot. So that's a huge portion of it. Since 2011, it has grown. We now have, he started out with those 3 ambulances. We now have 29 transport vehicles in our fleet. We've grown from a single station in Boise to stations in Nampa, Caldwell, the eastern side of the state, Pocatello, Idaho Falls. And it's growing so fast that it's hard to keep up with sometimes.
Well, when you got something good going, I mean, that's just a natural consequence.
Yeah. It went from me and Wes sitting on the couch at his house, waiting weeks between calls, to last year we did over 18,000 transports. And that's not counting all of the standby events that we do for people like you.
Right, which we did get to see firsthand. We've had very good luck. That very first armored combat incident was 6 years ago, and we haven't had anything major until this very last event, and then all of the corks came right out. We ended up really utilizing the skill and the profession of Acute Rescue, and by no stretch of the imagination would it be to say that we couldn't function as the fair without Acute Rescue and their amazing response time, their amazing way of handling people, because it's an emergency.
Right.
In your 15 years that you've been with Acute, you deal with emergencies on a daily basis. What's one of the common things that you run into trying to calm down because people are panicking.
Right.
Something big has happened. Their life has officially changed, whether in a minor way or in a major way. How do you kind of defuse or calm a situation like that down?
So every situation's a little bit different. You have different people involved. So calming people down, that is one of our primary functions of our job, is taking control of a scene. And keeping ourselves in that calm mode is a huge thing. If we get riled up and we get frantic, everybody around gets frantic, right?
Right. It's like when you see the bomb squad guy running, you follow him.
Exactly.
If the ambulance guy is freaking out, you should freak out too.
Agreed. Yes. And so that's a huge part of it is our internal thing. It's like a duck on a pond, right? You see the duck on the pond, they look all peaceful and calm, and right underneath the water, their legs are paddling like crazy. So inside that may be happening, but we have to calm ourselves and help maintain that level of calmness for the people around us.
Right. So before you and Wes really started getting it going, where did you train? Is this a Treasure Valley kind of startup, or were you in a whole other county?
So Wes grew up in Homedale, Idaho, so he's a local
nice
kid.
Local to the area.
He started as an EMT, a volunteer in Homedale at 18 years old, and his very first call was a major incident in Canyon County, and he saw a person in a white shirt maintaining that calmness, taking control of a scene, a mass casualty incident, and he was like, that's who I want to be. And so he went forward and went through his the rest of his schooling, went through his paramedic schooling and got his paramedic, and then he's worked for some local services in the Valley area before, and then he's done paramedic stuff overseas as a contract member. And then, but myself, I grew up doing construction work, and when the economy crashed, I decided that it was time to either move or do something different. I went to a local CWI and got my EMT and met
Great
Wes.
school, by the way. CWI,
yeah, they're
top
great.
notch.
They're great. I met Wes, got started as an EMT here, and also worked as an EMT in Mountain Home for Elmore Ambulance Service there, and went on and got my paramedic, worked here as a paramedic, worked there as a paramedic, and since then I've gone on and currently work for Life Flight Network as well as Acute Rescue here. So
very nice. So explain, because we all see ambulances and we see medical transports running around all the time.
Right.
But you don't ever see them at the mechanic shop. So what happens when you have a vehicle emergency? What do you do with your vehicles?
It happens, we get they're mechanical vehicles. They do break down. They have flat tires, just like everybody's personal cars. We sometimes lock the keys in them accidentally. Like, stuff happens, right?
Right.
And it luckily here at Acute, we have spare keys in the office. An admin staff member will run a spare set of keys over if it's something like that, or we'll come over, help them get the tire changed, and then get it to a tire vendor that we utilize, whether it's Big O or Les Schwab or wherever we're at. We get them to a tire shop and get that maintained. We're very on top of maintaining the mechanical aspect of it. We have an in-house person that does a lot of our small mechanic work stuff, oil changes and
basic maintenance.
The basic maintenance of it.
Gotcha. And that's, you said in-house. So is he EMT trained too, or is he literally?
He's also a paramedic.
Okay.
And he's kind of wanting to step back from the medicine side of it a little bit. He's been a paramedic for a long time, and he likes tinkering on vehicles and likes mechanic type stuff, and so
which is nice and convenient since you need someone.
yeah. And so we contract with him, and he does a lot of that in-house. Anything major, we take to a certified mechanic shop. A lot of them are newer, have warranties, so we utilize the warranty feature from the manufacturers in that aspect. But
when you do get a vehicle, generally speaking, I know with like police vehicles, they will go for so many miles or so many years and then they'll rotate them out. Do you have the same rule of thumb for your transports?
we do. They typically last about 5 years. The mileage, it's kind of, it varies, you know. 150,000 miles is kind of the quote-unquote standard. They can go a little bit longer than that. Some of them go less than that. But the 5-year mark is typical of where we start looking at stuff to rotate through and upgrade, and then we typically sell the older models.
Gotcha.
A lot of people like them, and they tend to turn old ambulances into RVs and different things.
Right.
So.
Yeah, there's actually a big trend of that because there's so much space. Plus, you gotta have electrical hookups in the back.
Yep.
So you can have your equipment going, which makes it really easy if you need to plug in a microwave.
Yep.
Not that that's y'all's concern.
That's not our concern. You're right. But.
So everyone has seen the ambulance dramas, you know, ER, scrubs, all of that. And they're starting to get more and more focused on the actual ambulance side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find, on a scale of like 1 to 10, how closely accurate is stuff like that?
They dramatize it a lot. We typically, especially at Acute Rescue, because we promote that customer service aspect so highly, we try to not get involved in that too much. There are times we'll come back and be like, man, that doctor, I don't know, you know. But in the heat of it, in the middle of it, we try to stay out of that. So I would say it's pretty low when that actually happens. We just kind of, okay, you know, and agree to disagree type of thing, and we move on and go to the next thing. But so yeah, we try not to get into it, especially with the doctors and the staff at facilities. You know, I tell people when I'm talking about the customer service, when you call 911, we're a private service. So Acute Rescue is a private ambulance service, privately owned. We don't answer to the county commissioners, anything like that. When you call 911, you get who you get.
Gotcha.
So you call 911, whatever ambulance shows up, that's who you get. And it doesn't matter if their dog just got run over or their significant other just left them. If they're in a bad mood, they're in a bad mood. That's who you get.
Right.
We don't have that luxury as private individuals. You know, as a vendor or a relationship with us, you have choices. You can call other ambulance services, and
as we found out, was bad. Just going to throw it out there. That was a bad experience on our end.
But you've chose to utilize us, right? You have that option. And so if you were utilizing us and our staff showed up and they're rude to you and they're rude to the people around them and they're, I don't want to deal with you. Oh, you need a Band-Aid. That's not an ambulance problem.
Right.
Would you choose to use us?
No, I can honestly say we have had to let go of certain vendors that do come to our events because of that exact reason.
Right.
They weren't nice to the patrons.
So that's kind of how we promote here at Acute Rescue, and it's done well for us.
Oh, I would say so. I mean, just on a personal level, because again, we're not doing this just so that we can be contractually obligated, you know, and all of that. We, as Idaho Renaissance Faire Inc., are doing this because we have such a deep respect. Y'all have saved our bacon. You've saved our patrons' bacon.
Right.
It's just been a really good working experience with us. Though that does bring up a question that I had. You said when 911 calls, you get who you get. Have you ever shown up and had another ambulance show up like 2-3 minutes before or 2-3 minutes after you? And how do you diffuse a situation like that?
We have, there again, it's kind of the old adage, treat people the way you want to be treated, right? So if they showed up before us, you know, we tend to, hey, this is who we are, we're here to help. If you need help, if you don't need help, we'll go our own way, right?
Right.
And vice versa. when at a lot of these events and stuff, we're not the actual transporting service. We're there for the event, and so things happen like this past weekend. We help get the person stabilized or ready for transport, and then one of the county services will come in and do the transport, and we hand that person off to them for transport, give them a brief report, and try and be professional in that aspect. And 99.9% of the time it works out just like that, and it's no issue.
Yeah, and it actually did, because we did have it right when they were contracted to show up. We had a major emergency, and then as soon as things got stabilized in the situation, we had another emergency inside the event, and so Acute had to separate. But because of how they operate, I mean, you never just send one person. We've always had at least 2 or 3 whenever we do an event.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that is common practice just in general with Acute.
Yeah, and it depends on the need, right? Like, we do some smaller venues that only require a single person or something like that. But when it's an ambulance going, it's always 2 people, whether it's 2 EMTs for a BLS ambulance or a paramedic and an EMT. We try and work in pairs and partners for that very reason. Sometimes we do have to split up. If we have more than one patient, we've got to split up and divide and conquer and take care of what's the need of people.
Gotcha. Now, you used an acronym, BLS. What does BLS stand for?
Basic life support. So
Gotcha.
There's different levels. You have an EMT, you have advanced EMT, and then you have paramedic level. And so it's what their scope of practice allows them to do and what our medical director allows.
So one's allowed to use the defibrillator and the other one's allowed to peel the Band-Aid?
Correct. in a very generic layman's terms, yes.
Okay, fair enough. Well, it's been 15 years then, since you started 2011.
Correct.
And you've gone into multiple cities, multiple counties. Does the rules for counties, depending on how EMS operates, does that change, or is it pretty well structured, uniform across the state?
It can change. Our agency, Acute Rescue's agency, is licensed in every county in the state of Idaho. So we are allowed to operate in every county. We cannot self-dispatch to a 911. If we see something, we're obligated to help them, right? But
is that, because I'm sorry to interrupt, but when I was living in North Carolina, the paramedics over there, if there was a medical emergency and you were a licensed paramedic, you were lawfully required to stop. Is that a similar law in Idaho?
Yes, but it's kind of vague. So you are required to render aid. If you're in uniform, 100% of the time you're required. Now, if you are on your way to another dedicated call, you don't have to, because you're already dedicated to something.
Gotcha. If you are plainclothes?
If you're plainclothes and somebody doesn't know that you're a paramedic, you are not 100% obligated. Ethically, you're obligated.
Gotcha.
But there's not like a law requiring that, if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
And so, yeah.
No, that makes a lot of sense, and I do appreciate that. Thank you for letting me interrupt you on that one, because, like I said, in North Carolina, that was the way that it was explained to me, and obviously not medically trained at all, so it was never a concern of mine. But when you're working around volunteers and you're working around different institutes, it is kind of interesting to see the way that different states kind of play their way. Have you ever made considerations of branching into Oregon? The Treasure Valley is pretty close to the Oregon border.
We have state licensure requirements are different in Oregon than they are in Idaho, and so there would be some changes that we would have to make, and then we would have to show the need to be there. So we would have to, you almost have to be invited there, if that makes sense. Because you have to show proof that you're needed to open an agency there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And that's an Oregon specific.
Yeah. And then some of the states have like compact agreements. Like Washington is a compact with Idaho, and so we can operate in Washington and Idaho. Oregon, we can operate through Oregon. So as long as our transport pickup or drop off comes back into Idaho, then we're legal to go into Oregon and do that. So
if, say, like their hospital right there in Bend or whatever has gone down and they need to get people out of there.
Correct. Yeah, a state of emergency type thing kind of eliminates some of that. But if we had a trip that was coming, like say from Baker City back to Boise, we could do that trip.
Gotcha.
But we couldn't do like a Ontario to Baker City. Because that pickup and drop off are both in Oregon.
In Oregon,
yeah.
Right.
Unless it was declared a state of emergency, like the hospital was flooding and they were dispersing,
right.
Then they could utilize us in that.
Gotcha. So we've talked a little bit about possibly going into Oregon. What are the future plans? Obviously, any kind of business, you've grown. In 15 years, you've gone across the entire southern of Idaho. Do you intend to eventually be in every major city in Idaho? Like, what are the plans for Acute?
That's a tough one. Myself, I'm more of the pull the reins type of person. Wes is go, go, go. And so me and him, we make kind of a good team in that aspect. We have looked at other cities in northern Idaho. We have looked at other cities even around here. We kind of watch where the requests come in from and go there. When we went over to Pocatello, the hospital there was struggling with getting patients in and out of their hospital in a timely manner. They reached out to us, asked what we would be able to do to help-wise. Obviously, that's tough to help them from Boise.
Right.
So
it's only 4 hours away.
Yeah.
So I mean.
so that's kind of how that happened. Is we ended up looking at places over there in Pocatello so that we could be closer in order to help that hospital. And with every station that we've opened, that's kind of how it's been. We realized, like when we opened the Nampa station, we found out we were sending our Boise ambulance to Nampa multiple times a day. Well, that's a lot of empty travel back and forth, and that's only 35 minutes away.
Right.
So it made sense. It's like, well, if we put an ambulance there, we've got less empty travel legs. And so...
Yeah, no, 100%. Well, and you got to think of the business side of it too. Because
every station,
the empty travel kills,
And with the cost of fuel these days, it's high.
Well, ambulances are heavy. With all of the equipment that you have in there, I mean, you got to have at least an extra 2,000-3,000 pounds of stuff just in the back of your ambulance. It adds to everything. So your expansion plans, if I'm understanding correctly, are really on a demand basis.
Correct.
So being that it'll be a demand, is it going to be more of you looking and seeing how, like, say, Coeur d'Alene, for example. Coeur d'Alene's up in northern Idaho. They're one of the largest cities up in northern Idaho.
Correct.
So would it just be kind of like a marketing, you're looking and seeing it takes the general ambulance crew 20 minutes to be able to respond and get back to hospital and then finish the call, so that's not something we're going to need? Or is it literally waiting for someone to call and say, hey, we could use some help up here?
It's a little bit of both. We do look at that. We try and look at how many times the agencies that are up there are having to call in people for overtime shifts to do those hospital-to-hospital transfers. A lot of the 911 services don't want to do those hospital-to-hospital transfers.
Right.
And so that's when we try and step in and help them out in that aspect.
Gotcha. So it really is, when they talk about the brotherhood, it really is a family kind of thing going on. Hospitals are helping hospitals, ambulance crews are helping ambulance crews. Everyone's in it together. It's not cutthroat like you see on the TV dramas.
It shouldn't be. I'm not going to say it's not, but it shouldn't be.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer. Well, then I guess what we kind of need to wrap up with is, of course, personnel. It seems like there are hiring shortages going on everywhere. Everyone always needs people. So if someone's watching the video, they are a trained paramedic, they've been thinking about getting out of Chicago or wherever forever, how would they go about the process of being able to apply and try and come work for Acute Rescue?
They would have to look at our website and see.
Right here.
And it's acuterescue.com. It's pretty easy, pretty generic.
Hey.
You know, I'm not the one that does the postings of when we're hiring, when we're not. That's our HR department. But they'd have to look at our website and see what openings are available. And then do an application initially. That will trigger on the HR side of things. Our HR department would reach out and set up an initial interview. They do, typically if it's out of state, they'll do like a over the phone interview. And then we do either a Teams meeting, video conference interview as the second portion, or an in-person if they're local or happen to be in town. And yeah, they submit an application, attach a resume, and kind of go from there. But,
Gotcha.
and like you said, all of the agencies are short, especially at the paramedic level, it seems like. The EMT level, there's a lot. You know, we do have a lot of turnover at the EMT level, and some of that is they move on and do other things. Some of it is they go on in their schooling and advance in schooling to either become a paramedic or a PA, or they end up going to nursing school or whatever, and we highly encourage that. We encourage their education and furthering their education to help further their careers.
Oh, naturally, of course. Because, I mean, while it may be a perfect fit for some, a lot of times it's a good step-off place to see what they're getting into, what
Right.
the medical world entails. Because I'll level with you, I've got friends and family who are nurses and have been in emergency services, and it's not for everyone.
No.
You know, you see some pretty sad situations.
Correct.
But it is rewarding. In your years of experience, you would sum up as how for your experience?
I love it. I get to go help people on some of their worst days. Like you said, not all days are good. I've had some very bad days. I've had some very, very good days. But I get to help people. And to me, that's a reward in and of itself. My brother asked me one time, he's like, I don't know how you do it. And I said, well, I get to help people. That's how I do it every day. I get to wake up. I enjoy going to work.
That's key right there.
Not everybody enjoys going to their job. I enjoy going to work. So much so that I do it for 2 different jobs.
Right.
And it's not because I don't work the 2 jobs because I need the money. I do it because I truly enjoy helping people. I enjoy, like here, we invest in people, like I said, with those EMTs that are going on to other things. And we get to invest in those people and help them further their career. It's very rewarding.
Absolutely. For younger people who are going to see this video, there are programs in high schools and stuff that is getting people introduced to it. Do you have any kind of ride-along program, or do you do any kind of on-site training for new EMTs, people who are currently going to school?
We do. We contract with, I think, about 9 different schools here in the Boise area that send their students to us. CWI is one of them. Idaho Medical Academy is another one. There's 4 or 5 different high schools. CPR Plus is another school that sends their students to us to do ride-alongs. And it's awesome. We get to see them do that. A lot of them, I tell everybody, every conversation you have is a potential future job interview.
Right. Yeah, it's a lot like how my grandpa used to always say, it's not necessarily what you know, it's who you know.
Yes.
And if you don't have that initial conversation, you'll never get to know.
Correct.
Well, I tell you what, Gabe, thank you very, very much for having me out here, being able to talk with you. If this is something that you're interested in, you've now met one of the people who lives this. You've been able to hear about the growth, you've been able to hear about the future plans, you've been able to hear about the potential. Don't be afraid to reach out. When I was originally reaching out 6 years ago, I was told no by a lot because, again, there's a lot of short staffing going on. Acute said yes, and I got that opportunity because I had that conversation. So if this is something you want to learn more about, acuterescue.com is a good place to start. You can always call. They have dispatchers. If you're in the medical training, like Gabe was saying, the schools in the area are connected. 9 schools.
Give or take.
That's plenty of opportunity. Don't let hesitation stop you from unlocking a career that could be extremely rewarding. So, thank you for your time. Do you have any final parting message that you would like to share with anyone watching?
Like he said, if you're interested, please reach out. Even if it's not for us, like if you have questions about how to get your licensure into Idaho or want to, find out more about the different schools in the area, we're more than willing to answer questions in that aspect too.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us. This has been the Idaho Renaissance Faire Inc.'s YouTube page. We hope that your history is as fun as our history. And if you have questions, comments, anything, make sure to leave those. We will either shepherd them to Acute Rescue if it's specifically about them, or we will answer it ourselves. So, we will catch you on the next one. Huzzah!